swings to the people's got, but what we'll talk about is lower hands through impact, how to improve your position of your hands in relation to impact and then in relation to your body to create the desired strike that you want to. So this video is obviously is called lower hands for better impact. So what I want to talk about is pivot and position of the hands at impact and how the body moves is key. So a couple of things that I'm going to talk about that precedes to that. So this video is on behalf of one of the subscribers on my channel regarding hand position. So the first thing I want to compare is a good player to an average player. So what I'm going to talk about is a good player. So what I'm going to talk about is when they get into a position which is called last parallel. So that's obviously the last position from the waist height all the way down into impact. So what tends to happen is when the grip, so the butt end of the club is at its lowest point when it reaches the last parallel. So as I'm talking about that, so the move, so as the club moves down the way, the butt end of the club reaches its lowest point as the club reaches past the right thigh on the downswing. So the club moves down, the butt end's pushed down the club, then the club head is pushed up the way. So the more we push down, the more the club head points up the way. So question on behalf of this is, why does the shoulder move up the way? So my lead shoulder is moving away from the target. So as the club gets to obviously halfway down, the lead shoulder from that position, the lead shoulder is moving up and away from the body. So that's where you create quite a shallow angle attack. So the left shoulder starts to move up the way early. So the more the shoulder moves up the way, the lower the club is going to travel. So as the butt end's coming down the way at the lowest point, the left shoulder moves up the way. So the left shoulder moves up and away. So if the shoulder moves up the way from the ball, this delays the hitting of the club head. So as I'm coming down, the more the shoulder travels up the way, the butt end of the club's pushed down the way, and the hands delay the action of the golf shot. So the poor player, or the average player, gets into a position where they don't get their hands low enough. So as I was saying, the lower you put your hands, the more compression you can create into the golf ball, and the higher the shoulder can unwind from that position. So the average player gets into a position where the butt end of the club doesn't actually reach waist height. So if you top the golf ball, if you thin it, that's because the butt end of the club's already working up the way before it's reached last parallel, which is obviously the right hip. So we need to address that. So obviously the average player gets into a position where their shoulder doesn't get low enough, so they don't get that squatting position. So if I get that squatting position, the butt end works down low enough, so this position, butt end works down low enough towards right hip. But the average player gets into a position where what happens is they take the club back, the hands stop, the club head overtakes the hands, and that's where the club head starts to rise too early. So if you don't take care of that squatting action, that's where the club head's going to overtake the hands, butt end doesn't reach its lowest point at the right hip. So obviously we're going to talk about last parallel, that's waist down into impact. So what we need to do is stop this from the club head overtaking the hands. So obviously we pivot back, the body rotates. What happens is the handle rises through impact. So obviously I take the club back, and if I can pivot back into that motion, so if I take the club back, last parallel, if I pivot back in that motion, my hands drop down into the position, which makes the butt end of the club point pop down the club head points up the way. So from here I can unwind this left shoulder. So that's going to create all that power from the down. So the more you push down the butt end of the club, the more power you're going to create. So the left shoulder rises through impact. So if I get into a position, I pivot back the way, the body rotates, the handle rises through impact. So if I was to get to that position where we've got too high a handle straight away, which causes a lot of shank and a lot of thinning. So we need to get in a position where the butt end goes down the way to start off with. Our lowest point, or the lowest point of the butt end of the club, is our right hip. So that's where we can create that upward or that more torque through the golf ball. So lower hands, so feel like that my hands are almost caressing my right thigh. So the butt end pops down the way, and as I come, lead shoulder works up. So the lead shoulder goes from, obviously it unwinds from down, so the lead shoulder can be going from moving down the way to up the way. That's why you create that, obviously that desired power. So we need to understand better lower hands to impact, make the club on plane, and let this left shoulder work up and around, trying to get through impact. So a drill to work on, so you need to understand the low point. So where the club bottoms out, so take up to waist height. Feel like the butt end of the club, as I take the butt end pops up, club head pops up, and as I come back down, the head moves up. So if I get into a position where handle pops up the way, come back down, push, club head moves down. So if I can get into a position where club gets to its lowest point and the butt starts working up the way, feel the handle, so feel the handle pushes down the way, and I come back up, butt end starts to work up and around, so obviously get into a position, butt end pops down the way, and unwind. So one of the thoughts in that video, so lower hands to impact for better, more consistent strikes.